Cold Dot Elementalist is the perfect build for D4 refugees, new players, or someone who just wants one build able to do it all. Combine this easy to play build with a fully fleshed out Maxroll Article, having expertly crafted leveling by Tai Killer step by step, hand holding through crafting and gearing by yours truly for your entire character's career. Cold Dot is a great all-rounder because of its use of multiple abilities. It scales very well early on and requires very little gear to step into any content. It's cheap, has solid mapping and bossing, and the playstyle isn't as bad as you'd think with all these buttons, since you really only need to press 2 to 3 while mapping, and every button one single time when you do your map bosses. Creeping Frost is our main clear and damage ability. It's a cold damage over time ability that shoots a projectile that creates a chilled ground, creeping and reaching for nearby enemies to suck the life force out of. We'll supplement this damage with Vortex and Cold Snap. Vortex is an instant cold damage over time spell that instantly spawns underneath your feet, allowing you to put it on left mouse button. Cold Snap, on the other hand, spawns an expanding radius of cold damage over time wherever your cursor is, and gives frenzy charges on kill to enemies that die within its reach. Its Vol version gives you a cold damage over time circle around your character, allowing for bursts of speed while mapping, and another source of additional damage over time against bosses. We supplement all of these abilities with our auras like Hatred and Malevolence, and with curses like Elemental Weakness and Frostbite. Cold Dot Elementalist scales its defense normally with Determination, Grace, and Defiance banner, combined with 100% chance to suppress spell damage. Where we take it a step further is by getting 50% physical damage taken as lightning from Lightning Coil, or 40% from Cloak of Flame, to further mitigate our physical damage. Cold Dot is also applying a 20 to 30% chill on endgame bosses, and even going as far as freezing map bosses, which makes them much easier to tackle if you're new to these fights, since every move will be in slow-mo or stop motion. Elementalist is a great choice for softcore, as Pendulum of Destruction gives 60% increased area of effect while mapping, and this allows for a much smoother playstyle and clear, which also assists in explosion type effects like from Legacy of Fury. Once you reach a map boss, the pendulum swings the other way and gives 30% more elemental damage. As a mastermind of Discord, you'll also apply an extra -25 resistances when you apply exposure to enemies. This pairs famously well with Eye of Malice, allowing you to stack your curses, exposure, a debuff called Scorch, which shreds more resistances, and therefore you give the enemy negative resistances, which you will increase by 50%. In the same way, if you have your debt increase, that's a bad thing. For monsters, if they have a negative resistance increased, that is also just as bad. A Master of Elements allows you to shape the storms even in the coldest of weather, allowing all damage to shock and have a minimum shock effect, which we scale through sources of increased effect of non-damaging ailments. Of course, what would a Master of the Elements be without some protection against them? With Bastion of Elements, you obtain a roughly 2000 HP shield that absorbs elemental damage and regenerates every 5 seconds when depleted. All of this combined gives Elementalist a much smoother and higher damage playstyle than some other Ascendancy choices, and with the area of effect giving an easy mapping playstyle and more enjoyable experience, Elementalist is a no-brainer. We are leveling this build by starting with Freezing Pulse and swapping to Cold Snap and Creeping Frost at level 18. We'll then play the Cold Dot build, adding Vortex at level 24, picking up Shield Charge and other supports from Library, and obtaining some auras and curses as we go along. Overall, it's a very easy leveling process because of the stacking dot effects of multiple abilities, and with no hard respecs, this should be buttery smooth for everyone. Some early uniques to pick up to make leveling a little smoother would be to pick up a Mark of Submission and to socket your Frostbite into it, which also removes one button from the build's playstyle, and to pick up an Elevore and get started on your Suppression Cap. Elevore, a great unique, as it provides easy access to a big chunk of suppression and because it gives you life when you suppress spell damage, which helps with your early league start recovery. Your mapping involves simply shield charging, casting Creeping Frost, and, if you need to, a Cold Snap on faraway or dense packs. Pop Vol Cold Snap when it's on cooldown, and shield charge around, making sure you at least save one use for the boss. Once you reach the map boss, simply use every one of your abilities one time, and by the time you reach that last button press, the boss will probably already be dead. Your early mapping gear is very simple. Obtain a spell damage wand or scepter and craft Cold Dot multi. Get a +1 shield and craft life. Get the Gravicious Unveiled body armor craft. Some exposure implicit on your gloves. A Scorch implicit on your boots. And a Dot multi roll on your amulet with the ailment effect craft, filling the rest of your gear with resistances and stats. For the mid game, the gearing will get slightly tighter. You'll be capping out your suppression and obtaining an Eye of Malice to further boost your damage. The gearing here is mostly the same as last time, but with a damage modifier added here and there and some extra suppression and resistances squeezed into the build. The endgame gearing is where you'll really start to blast through maps, with the pickup of Legacy of Fury to easily apply Scorch and give you a small explosion-like effect to make clearing easier than ever. You'll pick up a Skin of the Lords or Loyal for the global defenses and gem levels, but with those being very expensive on League Start, I have two other options here that you can use as well. Either a Cloak of Flame or a Lightning Coil that you've corrupted with +2 AoE or duration gems, or if you're using a power, you can get it corrupted with +1 socketed gems instead. The Lightning Coil is the best option, but requires more resistances on your character compared to Cloak of Flame, since Lightning Coil removes 60 lightning res, while Cloak, on the other hand, adds 60 fire res. This means, if you can afford it, your best option is going to be a Skin of the Lords or Loyal, followed by a +2 or +1 socketed gems corrupted Lightning Coil, and lastly, the most budget option is going to be a +2 Cloak of Flame. The easiest way to get these corrupted implicit body armors is to purchase the corruption implicits yourself and to use tainted currency to obtain your 6 links. Simply force 4 sockets on the crafting bench, use tainted jewelers until it goes to 6 sockets or until it goes to 3, at which point you force the 4 sockets on it again, repeating this process until you have a 6 socket body armor. You'll do the exact same process with tainted fusings, starting with the 4 link, going until you reach 6 or 3, and then forcing the 4 link again. Doing this allows similar damage to a Skin of the Lord and Loyal because of the +2 to socketed gems that you'll get, and provides a lot of additional defense that will be missing since we won't have the 100% global defense modifier from Skin. With all these cool uniques and damage, your gear will be tighter than ever, requiring you to essence spam fractured suffixes to fill them with T1 or 2 mods, and use Eldritch Crafting or Veiled Chaos to get life on your gear or jewelry, finishing each item with a crafted modifier. We obtain Shock Immunity with a Glove and Ring Craft, take the Pantheon against Ignites and Burning Ground from Red Altars, and Freeze Immunity and Slight Mitigation of Chills from Brine King and the Glove Craft. This league, I do have an Ignite Vortex guide that you can play after gearing out this Cold Dot build. It is out. I do apologize that it took a little while last league, but hey, it's out now, okay? We've got the article. We'll have a video as well linked down below that you can check out. Anyways, let me know again if this is a guide format you're enjoying, or if you want me to go back, I can read POB for 1 hour for each of my league starters. Anyways, please subscribe so a cute girl will at least think I have one large thing to show off. Anyways, see you in the next one. Bye.